Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Begakar Ahmed, and welcome to today's video. Today, we're going to be going ahead and speaking about Hurricane Milton that is coming through on the south side of the United States. I live in Florida, Orlando to be specific, and I should be safe, but this hurricane is coming through, and it is noted to be one of the worst hurricanes ever recorded in the history of Florida, and this is going to be touching down in just a few hours from now. So I may lose power tonight into tomorrow for the next couple of days, just depending on how crazy it can get, depending on how many trees are uprooted and pulled out, and telephone poles and internet poles and 5G towers go out. It is very, very possible, as the winds can reach up to 100 miles per hour here in Orlando and 155 to 160 miles per hour on the west coast of the state. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and examine this today. Now, you might be asking, why, Ahmed, are you becoming a weatherman today? Why, Ak, have you become a weatherman when you make religious content and you want people to get closer to God? Because there is nothing in this world that is more insane and more eye-opening than witnessing a natural disaster in firsthand. When you witness an earthquake or you witness a hurricane of great strength or a tornado or whatever the case may be, even just a thunderstorm, it makes you say subhanallah. It makes you understand the power of God. It makes you understand that the earth is a living, breathing thing that reacts. When we make the earth sick, when we have a billion automobiles that are burning gas, and we have nuclear plants, and we're blowing each other up in war, and we're doing all this stuff, that the earth reacts the same way your body might get sick. And your body fights it by having a fever or going to sleep or doing these things. The earth does the same exact thing. It reacts. It has winds. It has storms. It does these things, and it reacts. So very, very important to see these things as well, because when I see things like this, I say subhanallah. I pray for the people that are in these natural disasters and things. It makes me understand, and it humbles me to understand that, look at these human beings. They built for hundreds and hundreds of years. For 200 years, they've been building the United States. His grandfather's 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 grandfather went to war, and his grandfather went to war, and they fought for this country, and they built these buildings, and they constructed these cities, and it took forever to construct these cities and construct Florida, and then in 12 hours, this storm is going to sweep by, and it's going to destroy hundreds and hundreds of years worth of human work. It really puts things into perspective to show me this isn't our planet. This is our playground. We tried playing with it, but it destroys us right back. So there is a balance in the world, and when you do see that balance, when you understand, like, wow, it took us 200 years to build this city, and then God wiped it out in 10 hours, it really puts things into perspective. Like, we literally have no control. Like, this is not my world, I'm just here and I have no control. And when you realize you have no control, you turn to God more. You understand, like, the only thing that can help me in this scenario, it's not the US government, it's not a bunker, nothing's gonna help me when a storm like this, of this magnitude, comes. The only thing that can help me is God Almighty. The only thing that protects me is God Almighty. The only thing that can make sure I'm good is God Almighty, because this is God Almighty's creation. So it's very, very beautiful to see. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out a couple different things. I want to focus on Hurricane Ian that came through a couple years ago. We were here for Ian. It was very, very strong going outside here in Orlando. The weather was, I think the winds were about 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour. The rain was falling completely sideways. I could barely walk forward. I was being thrown back. I had to move my father's car. The light post was getting ripped out of the ground. It was very, very intense, and I will never forget that moment. I'll never forget that day. You feel like you're just staring death in the eyes as you're outside. But at the same time, there's something so calming and relaxing about it. There's something so grand and marvelous about it. It's one of the most satisfying feelings that you will ever, ever, ever have, is to feel the strength and the grandness of these winds, of this rain. There's something about it that just tells me, like, you have no control. Like, this is all God, and the glory of God is there. Like, when I see the moon, I'm like, subhanallah. But when I feel the strength of a hurricane, I really say subhanallah, and it is magnificent. So just to show you guys, this is Hurricane Ian, which was a Category 4 that hit a couple years ago, and we're about to get a Category 4 right now with Milton here. It's about to strike in the next couple hours here on this Wednesday evening in Orlando throughout the night. And this is expected to be worse than Ian. This is expected to have a higher storm surge, a higher damage output, higher winds, higher everything than Ian. And Ian was crazy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out what Ian did so we can kind of compare this one to Ian and then kind of magnify it by a little bit.
It's hell on earth as Hurricane Ian slams into Florida. 155 miles per hour winds, 18-foot waves, epic destruction.
Take a look at the cars now. They're all bunched into each other over there.
The wind continues to ramp up.
But we're gonna get smashed here. There are down trees literally everywhere, all over.
You can see, like, he's rocked. He can't stand straight. He can barely stand. He's about to get thrown over. 155 mile per hour winds. Guys, imagine being in a car going 70 on the highway and sticking your head out the sunroof. That's at 70 miles per hour. Now at 150 miles per hour, stick your head out the sunroof. Your head will probably fly off your body. Like, there's no way you can describe the feeling of this. Now in Orlando, where I live, which is the center of the state, the worst I'm going to get is 60 to 80 mile per hour winds, right? These people on the coastline are getting 150 mile per hour winds. SubhanAllah, it is crazy. Like, if I was on the coast, I would not stay there, you know?
For this area.
This is what Ian looks like from space. A swirling monster. Those flashes, lightning.
I can't hear anything and I can't see anything.
Here is where the water comes up to 3 feet.
Check out the Weather Channel's gripping 3D simulation of what a 9-foot storm surge looks like.
9 feet that can completely submerge some buildings, homes, businesses.
So I just put this in perspective. A storm surge, for those who do not know, is when the water of a hurricane, so when a hurricane comes, it sucks all the water up. So the coast starts to get pulled back. And as the hurricane starts to come towards the land, it starts pushing the water back with force. So the water comes rushing in. And as the water comes rushing back to the coastline of Florida, what will happen is it won't stop where the beach normally is. It will flow in and it will flow into the city. And depending on how strong the hurricane is, the storm surge of the ocean running into the city and completely wiping out a city can get up to 9, 10, 11 feet sometimes with the worst hurricanes. The one that we are anticipating here, which is Milton, that is coming within the next few hours, it's expected to have up to 15-foot storm surges, which is crazy. Meaning the people who are on the coast, like in Tampa and areas like that, the water can get up to 15 feet or 3 meters above the surface of the land, which is incredibly scary because it will literally wipe your house out. Even if you're standing on top of your house to protect yourself, you're standing on top of the house and holding on to it, your house is going to get washed away. And this is very, very scary for a lot of people who live there on the coastline. Not the whole entire coast will be sieged by water, but a lot of the areas lining the beach and those beach towns will, and that's what's very, very, very scary. So as you can see, this is Ian that gave us up to 9-foot storm surges, and I'm going to show you what a 9-foot storm surge looks like and what Ian did to like Fort Myers, Florida. But this one that we have is expected to have up to 15-foot storm surges. And yep, Hurricane Milton reaches Florida's left threatening storm with surges up to 15 feet in the region that is particularly flood prone. Though this is crazy. 15 feet storm surges is like, it's not normal, guys. It is insane. Imagine being under 15 feet of water. That is incredible. Now this is live. This is different camera angles from Fort Myers, from Tampa and different regions over there on the west coast of the state of Florida. This right here is showing you what it looks like right now. As you can see, the calm before the storm, the sky is completely covered with clouds. You have this very eerie, nasty look. It's raining lightly. As you can see, it's not really raining very, very hard. And things are starting to look bad. It's starting to touching land here a little bit. and it looks very eerie and scary. And soon these cameras will barely be able to catch the footage from how fast the rain is coming down and how it's flying sideways at 150 miles per hour and how strong the winds are and things blowing into them. Some of these cameras might break, fly off where they're strapped to, and it's intense. This is not a joke. It's not a joke what is about to happen here on the west coast of Florida. In Orlando, I will be safe. I am in the center of the state. It's not like the ocean will end up in the center of the state. The only thing I have to worry about is strong winds. I will probably get up to 60 to 90 mile per hour winds, which are extremely strong. That could really mess up my backyard, my front yard. Trees can get ripped out of the ground next to me. I can have a lot of home damage, but I don't think it'll be anything fatal. Nothing will like fly onto my house. My house isn't gonna roll away into the water like some of these other places here on the coast, but it's still something you need to watch out for. You need to be prepared to not have power for weeks if necessary. You need to be prepared for some of the strong winds that are coming through. You need to make sure you take your belongings in, that things aren't loose, that can fly around, chairs and tables and things like this, so they don't hit your neighbor's house, so they don't hit your house, so they don't hurt anybody. Make sure your cars are away from any obstructions that will fall or fly out. Make sure you are out of the wind and you are inside at all times, and we'll be pretty much safe. You just gotta kind of live it out. Now, the hurricane is coming throughout the night. It'll be strongest in Orlando during the nighttime at 3 a.m. in the morning. So I'll be asleep. And there'll be no need for me to be running around outside getting hit by cows like in the movie. But, yeah. I want to show you guys this. This is Hurricane Ian, and this is what it looked like in Fort Myers Beach. I'm going to show you guys the before and the after here, so you guys can really understand the magnitude of how this water comes in from the ocean with a hurricane. Right here, I want to show you that. Pay attention to this little red house right here. This is a business in the middle of the street, okay? These are trees that are being completely covered. This is a 9-foot storm surge that he was talking about with Ian. Watch this red house. And this is what I mean by it'll literally take your house and run away with it. It is no joke. These storms, there's nowhere to run from something like this if you're there. If you are there and you waited and you sat in that little red hut, there's nowhere for you to go. There's nothing for you to catch on to. Like, I don't know how you would survive something like this. The ocean is swallowing a city. There's nothing more grand and strong than the ocean. It's gone. It just gets taken. It gets taken down the stream until it just eradicated. Subhanallah. Like, when you see something like this, you don't say Subhanallah. You don't like, it's insane. So this is before it started, just to give you guys some perspective here. This, so you know, here's some facts about Ian, and we're about to get something worse. So, Category 5 Hurricane Ian is the third costliest storm to hit the United States. Yep. It is also the deadliest to strike Florida since 1935. So, yep, 100 years. So, this is what the road looked like before the water came, guys. And this is a 9-hour and 40-minute video because it records the whole entire storm from start to end. So, this is Estero Boulevard Avenue, and this is on the west coast of Florida in Fort Myers. And this is what it looked like before the hurricane started. And as you can see, as the hurricane starts sweeping through, the storm surge starts eating the road. The ocean ends up inside of the city. So, as you can see, the street's filling up. This street is unrecognizable. It is completely gone. All those buildings in the back, all this building right here at the front, it's gone. Look at the water. Look how strong it is. Look at the trees. Look how the trees are sideways. And subhanAllah, me and my sister were talking about this yesterday. She said, subhanAllah, God Almighty made palm trees to live in tropical storms and tropical weather, that the palm trees, because they're so skinny and flimsy, that they flap with the wind and they never break. No matter how strong the wind is, the palm trees are always standing. She said, subhanallah, it's like nature, the way God created it, it works together. So like the trees that God put in this region are built to withstand the storms, and she's 100% right. And this is what it looks like after it's all said and done. This is the damage. The buildings that are in the middle of the street are completely gone. They are eradicated. This is after, and this is before. So hurricanes are no joke, and the hurricane that is coming through right now is no joke, and it can eradicate complete cities on the west coast of Florida. And I pray for the people that are there. If they have not evacuated, I pray that they stay safe. And anything that happens like this is so grand, and this is why I wanted to talk about it. This is why I wanted to show you guys, and I want everyone to stay safe. If you live in a region where there's tornadoes, where there's hurricanes, where there's earthquakes, where there's war, where there's whatever the case may be, just know that this earth, it's not ours, and at any moment we can be taken away, and by any moment the earth can swallow us whole. And that is the grandness of God. So make sure that you're on God's side and that you have a relationship with your Lord and you have a relationship with your Creator, because when something like this happens, you're going to be calling for God. You're going to be asking God to help you, because God is the only person that can help you here. God is the only thing that can help you in a situation like this. Not that God's a person, but God is the only thing that can help you here. And there's nothing that is crazier than some of these storms, to be completely honest with you. So just to show you the map of what it's looking like, let me go ahead and extend this. So right here is Florida, this little peninsula at the bottom of the United States here. And as you can see, it is starting to smack right into us. So this right here is the eye of the storm. And the west coast of Florida is right where my mouse is. It's being covered up by the storm at the moment as the clouds are fading over us. But as you can see, it covers the whole entire state of Florida. So this storm covers the whole state of Florida. When it is on top of us, it will cover the whole state. You will not be able to see the state. It will be completely covered by this hurricane, and it will be smacking Georgia and so forth. And it's going to come right across. If I go to hurricane tracking here, it should show me its path. So as we can see, Milton ended up over here at the bottom of Mexico, and it was dark red, meaning it was category 5. Then it went to category 4. It went back to category 5 up here, and now it is category 4. So it is right here, and it is expected to touch down directly in Sarasota, Florida, in the next couple hours, by tonight, really. By like 11 o'clock tonight is what it's looking like. And that is pretty intense. I live in Orlando, so it should be going just south of me, it looks like. Yep, so it should be flying south of me. But the biggest problem is the tail of it. As you can see, when a hurricane is moving, it spins in this circle. So as it spins, the wind will like whip around. So what's scary is not even the storm itself, where you're getting constant wind. What's scary is when it's over and you think it's over and you go outside and a gust of 80 to 90 mile per hour wind comes through and knocks you, half your house over, and 3 trees out of the ground. These wind gusts are very, very, very strong, and they're very unexpected sometimes. So you got to be very, very careful, because even when you think the storm's over, these wind gusts come through, like where it's very calm, there's no wind, and then boom, an 80 mile per hour wind wall comes and smacks into you in your house. So you gotta be very careful about stuff like that as well. Just different radar trackers I'm looking at, just different maps. Yeah, it's at a 4. It's expected to crash in at a 4, 4 to a 3. And by the time it gets to me, it should be a 1. So I shouldn't have to worry too much about that. Looking at the chart right here, by the time it hits me, it'll be 74 to 95 mile per hour winds, which is still insane. Getting 74 to 100 mile per hour winds is no joke. I prefer to get hit by a tropical storm, which has 40 to 70 mile per hour winds. But it looks like Orlando is going to get a nice little 80 mile per hour wind category. Could go up to 100 miles per hour. And this is something that I've not experienced. When Ian came, I think the top speed of the wind was like 65 miles per hour. So this is going to be intense. This is going to be stronger than the strongest one that I've witnessed. And it's going to be a new experience for me. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect me and my family, protect my home, protect my property, and protect all of the people of Florida, people on the West Coast, and allow them to be safe through this. I don't want to be like too much of a conspiracy theorist and whatnot, but when it comes down to a hurricane, guys, and I go ahead and I look at this, let me go to the live radar instead. This hurricane, when it came through, if you're looking at my mouse, it came through on this side of Mexico, and it was a tropical storm. So it started here, and when it crossed Mexico, I told myself, the Gulf of Mexico is really small. It doesn't have enough room to really build itself up and fly into Florida at strength. But by the time it reaches Florida, it might be a Category 2. That's what I told myself, because this Gulf of Mexico is very small. But no, unfortunately, it came right over here, and it went from a tropical storm that was breaking up over land immediately into a Category 5 hurricane. So a lot of people speculate, and they say, how did something that was broken and dying and was a tropical storm that was falling apart here in a very small body of water attached to land on the bottom of Mexico, how did that just escalate itself all the way up to the strongest possible hurricane that can possibly exist? How did that happen? And then move directly into Florida days later at a Category 5 to a 4. How did something like that happen? Usually when a hurricane forms, guys, they form off of this front of Africa over here. So it creates like this front here, and the storm starts to move this way. And the storm has the whole Atlantic to gain momentum, speed, strength, and it comes up through here and it smacks Florida like this. Or it comes up through here and it smacks Florida through here. And it comes up through these keys right here, and it smacks the islands of like Cuba, Dominican Republic, Bahama, like all this stuff down here starts getting rocked, right? It either comes through here and starts smacking the Turks and the Bahamas, or it starts going underneath the Dominican Republic and Haiti and Cuba and starts hitting in between here and comes up through the Gulf. But never in my life have I ever heard of a scenario where a storm comes over Mexico, breaks up and dies, and then fully escalates within hours to a Category 5 hurricane like nothing happened, and then flies into Florida days later. I've never seen a hurricane or a storm take such a route like this. It almost looks synthetic, that they saw this storm, they saw where it was, they saw it breaking up, and they blew something up in the water or the sky. They made some type of chemical reaction happen. They heated something up. They cooled something down. I don't know what they did. And they caused this to escalate at 9 times the strength. Almost like giving steroids to a sports player, someone who's already a professional athlete. They're already strong. They're already the best at their game. If you give them steroids, they become better. They become stronger. They become faster. So it's almost exactly like that. They find this hurricane, this athlete, and they're like, oh, look at that. It's a nice little storm. People aren't expecting it to go ahead and gear up and come through. They're not going to have enough time to prepare. Let's blow something up. Let's give it some steroids and make it real strong real quick, so people have 2 days to react. So I don't know exactly what happened here. I'm not going to go ahead and say the government did it, but to be completely honest with you, a storm that broke over land, was dying right here, magically became a Category 5 hurricane within hours, and then started storming towards Florida in 2 days. Something very sketchy about it. There's something that doesn't add up about it. And yeah, it's kind of crazy to me. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. You guys go ahead and pray for yourself, pray for your families, pray for your safety, pray for your health. There is nothing more grand than Mother Nature. There is nothing more grand than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He goes ahead and sends these storms through. The way He created this earth is truly remarkable. The more that you experience it, the more that you see it, the more that you experience the grandness of it, the greatness of it, it scares you. You realize how small you actually are. You realize how you need God in many scenarios when you're put through them. So this is why I wanted to talk about it. This is why I wanted to share this with you guys, and inshallah I'll be able to make a video on Friday. I'll have power, I'll have everything all set. But we're going to go ahead and experience Mr. Milton here come through in the next couple hours here in Florida. And I pray for safety, I pray for health, and I pray for my belongings and my family to be all right through this. Thank you guys so much for coming today. God bless every single one of you. And until next time, free Palestine, free Lebanon, free the Middle East, and free Florida from Hurricane Milton. Bye-bye.